Hey, everybody, welcome back to Business Growth Made Simple podcast, where we help business owners grow stronger teams, make more profit, and take back control of their time and their business. I'm Steve, your host, and if you've been following this leadership series, you know we've been walking through John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. Now, today, we're talking about level 4, people development. And this is one of my favorite levels because this is where real leadership multiplication happens. Now, if you have not listened to 1, 2, or 3, I highly recommend you putting this on pause and heading back over there and listening to those 3 first because they build on each other to get to where we are today. Because level 3 was all about production, about getting results, but level 4 is about reproduction. It's about developing other leaders who can get results too. And this is where you stop being the only one pushing the business forward and start building a team of leaders who can carry it with you. So grab your coffee, maybe pull it over if you're in a truck, and let's talk about what it looks like to build leaders, not just followers. Let's start with the truth. If your business can't run without you, you don't own a business, you own a job. And I've heard it said this way that a job is just over broke. And that's hard to swallow, isn't it? I mean, I know, I've been there. But level 4 leadership is how you change that. Level 3, you learned how to lead your team to get results. You became productive. Things started running smoother, sales went up, morale went up. But now at level 4, your mission changes. It's no longer about your results. It's about helping others grow so they can produce results also. And this is what John Maxwell calls people development. And here's the key idea. If you miss anything else, listen to this. You're not just adding value anymore. You're multiplying the value. Now, when you invest in other people's leadership, your influence starts to grow exponentially. You're creating momentum that doesn't rely on your direct involvement every second of the day. You're creating almost, dare I say, mini me's, which in my case would not necessarily be a good thing. But think of it like this. Level 3 is about being a strong engine. Level 4 is about building more strong engines. You're teaching others how to lead, you're teaching others how to decide, and how to own their own responsibilities. And when that happens, your business becomes scalable. You can take a vacation. You can work on your business instead of always working in it. You can actually breathe again. And this is why level 4 leadership gives you the freedom through empowerment. So what does a level 4 leader actually look like? Well, let's paint that picture. Think about this. You see potential in others. And most people don't see themselves as leaders until someone else calls it out in them. A level 4 leader notices who is stepping up, who's showing the initiative, who is teachable, and who's not just the loudest one in the room. They look for attitude. They look for character first, skill second. Because you can train the skill, but you can't fake integrity. Level 4 leaders, they invest in people on purpose. They don't just hope people grow, they plan for it. They have intentional conversations, one-on-one mentoring, leadership huddles, book studies, whatever fits the culture. They share lessons from their own journey, the wins and the screw-ups, and the times that they almost gave up. And that is how you build connection. You don't just give information, you give yourself. They equip and empower. Level 4 leaders give people both the responsibility and the authority. They don't just say, go do this. They say, hey, here's the goal, here's why, make it happen. You've got the authority to make it happen. And then they back off and let people lead. Are they going to mess up? Of course they are. But that's how leaders are made, through the ownership and experience. You know what? Level 4 leaders celebrate growth. When your team wins, celebrate it loudly in front of everybody. You recognize not just the outcomes, but the process it took to get to that outcome. And when someone steps up, when they handle a customer issue better than they used to, when they start mentoring someone else, call that out. Celebrate it. Recognition builds confidence, and confidence builds leaders. Now, level 4, your role changes from being the hero to being the coach. You know, early in business, you're the one solving all the problems. Everyone looks to you for answers. And that feels good, right? Feeds the ego a little bit, right? But as your business grows, being the hero becomes a bottleneck. You can't scale if everything depends on you. And that's where level 4 leadership changes everything. Your job isn't to fix every problem, it's to develop problem solvers. Your shift is from saying, here's what you do, to saying, what do you think? How do you think we should handle this? How do you think we should do this? And that is how people learn to lead. And when you make that shift, you go from addition to multiplication. It's the same thing Jesus did with his disciples. He didn't just perform miracles, he taught them how to do it. That's what true servant leadership looks like. Giving people the tools and the belief they need to succeed on their own. Now, let's kind of bring this down to where the rubber meets the road, right? Let's make it as practical as possible. I want to give you a couple things to help you in your level 4 growth that'll help you in your business. Step 1 is you need to identify potential leaders. Ask yourself, who is on my team that has the right attitude and the right heart? Look for people who are teachable. They're humble. They're consistent. They don't have to be the best at everything. They just have to want to grow into being better. Then you want to invest time, not just money. You can't delegate leadership development. It's relational. Block time in your schedule for mentoring, coaching, or even leadership meetings. If you're too busy to develop people, you'll always be too busy to lead freely. Don't just spend the money to send them to leadership camp. When they get back, ask them how it was. What did they get out of it? How can you help them be a better leader? And then you want to start handing off responsibility. You want to delegate so you can grow, so they can grow, not just tasks. For example, let someone else lead a team meeting. Give them the project with the full authority to see it through. And when they stumble, because they will, don't take it back. Walk through it with them. Coach them through that. That is going to help them with their confidence and help them to learn how to be a better leader. You know, you need to have a clear growth path. People should know, what does it take for me to move from a team member to a lead, to a manager, to a director, whatever the next thing is. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be clear. And one big thing, you can't take people somewhere that you haven't gone. You need to keep growing yourself. Keep reading, keep learning, stay humble. The more you grow, the more room leaders have to grow under you. I've heard it said that leaders are readers. And I'm not much of a reader. My comprehension is a little bit slow, but if I hear it, I have a much better chance of remembering it than actually reading it. And if I hear it and write it down, it's crazy how much I can retain. However, you got to do it. You got to listen. You got to read whatever it is. I need to keep reading, keep growing so that those under me can keep growing also. The other thing I want to say about that is you need to get yourself into a group of guys, a group of owners that are going to help you grow. If you're always the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. I'll say that again. If you are always the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room because there's no place for you to grow. You're at the top. You need to be with a group of people who are smarter than you so you can grow. Grow your leadership, grow yourself. Now, here's what happens when you start developing people everything gets better. You're going to notice that you're not carrying the whole load anymore. Your team becomes more confident, more independent. New ideas start flowing from the bottom up. People are going to be happy to explain things. Hey, I've got an idea for this. You know, we handled this with this customer and I think we can do it better. Here's how I think we can do it better. Your customers are going to feel the difference because your team takes ownership. And you are actually going to enjoy leadership again. It's energizing. It's amazing to watch someone you mentored step into leadership and thrive. That's what legacy looks like. You know, I just switched phone carriers. And the new carrier that I got, it was a business salesman. We were talking, we connected well, we made the switch into the new plan. And the whole process, he was right there with me. He took ownership of the whole situation. And when I had an issue with one of the phones not chatting upright, I just immediately called customer service and tech support just to get that taken care of. And a note somehow got back to him. And he was not happy that I actually reached out to tech support without calling him first. Now, I kind of explained to him that I wasn't going to call him at 4:30 in the morning when it didn't happen the way we had originally planned for it to happen. And frankly, customer service wasn't open either for another couple hours. But by the time they opened, I was able to get everything straightened out before he even got my first email. But bottom line, he took ownership and he was upset that I didn't call him so he could take care of it himself. That is what leadership is about. It's getting people under you to take ownership of the situation. You know, legacy looks like, as John Maxwell put it, leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. When you're at level 4, you're not just leading a team, you're building a future. Now, you can't have the good without the not so good. So here's a couple of things that level 4, well, it shows you that it's not all sunshine and leadership retreats, right? There's some real challenges here. Challenge number 1 is letting go of control. Come on, it's scary to hand over the keys to something you've built to someone else. But leadership without trust isn't leadership. It's just management with a fancier name. You got to be able to let go of control. You can't micromanage. Challenge number 2 is patience. It's going to take people time to grow. You didn't become a level 4 leader overnight. They're not going to either. You're going to explain the same things more than once. You'll want to just do it yourself and just jump in there to make it happen. But remember, the goal isn't speed. The goal is sustainability. Challenge number three is choosing the wrong people. Not everyone wants to lead, and that's okay. Invest where it's wanted, invest where it's valued. Don't waste time trying to convince the uncommitted. Just take care of those who want to learn how to lead, who want to get better, who want to grow in their leadership. And eventually, the others, if they're not committed and don't want to grow, they'll eventually fall away and they'll be replaced with somebody who does want to grow. And challenge number four is neglecting your own growth. I'd mentioned that earlier. Don't stop learning. Keep leveling up your own leadership. You can't give what you don't have. So, before we wrap it up, let's reflect on these things. Grab your notebook or just think about these. Who on your team has potential that you haven't fully tapped into yet? Are you leading in a way that builds other leaders or just followers? Have you clearly defined how people can grow in your business? Number four, do you celebrate leadership? Do you just celebrate their development wins, not just their sales wins? And how would your business run if you stepped away for 30 days, for 4 weeks? You took a 4-week vacation. What would you come back to? These questions reveal your next step in your leadership journey, wherever it is. All right. So, level 4 is where good leaders become great leaders. And it's where your business stops depending on you and starts running on the systems and leaders you've built. It's the sweet spot of freedom, impact, and legacy. So, this week, I want you to look around your business and ask, who can I start developing into a leader? Start small. Just start with a little 5-minute conversation, maybe a little extra trust on a project, maybe a quick piece of encouragement. That's where it all begins. Remember, level 3 leaders build businesses